Alright, it says the square of a number minus 3 times the number is 28. So the first thing that you would have to do is know that we're going to call the number x. So the square of a number, so what does that mean? So it means x squared is right. The square of a number, so minus is your subtraction. 3 times that number, which would give you your 3x, you're right, equals my 28. Alright? Alright, so first of all, questions on that part. Alright, I'm going to get rid of the top so I can move this up. Alright, so now what's the next step I have to do? To subtract 28. So I have x squared minus 3x minus 28 is equal to 0. That is right. You have to do AC. So A is 1 and C is negative 28. So AC, A times C is negative 28. So we're looking for two numbers that multiply together to give me negative 28, that when I add them gives me a negative 3. Alright, so we're looking for, so negative 7 and 4. Now remember, if you don't know how to get these numbers, go 28, divide by 1, divide by 2, divided by 3, until you get to that right there. Now, if you still need to factor, and I'm going to do it the long way, but I am going to be jumping to the short way really soon. You guys need to be able to jump. If A is 1, I should be able to say that x minus 7 times x plus 4. But just in case you're not there yet, I'll do it one last time. You rewrite this. So you have x squared minus my 7x plus my 4x minus my 28. Then what do I have to do? See what's in common. So x is in common. So x times what gives me x squared would be x. X times what gives me a negative 7x would be a negative 7. Same sign always as the sign right there. So I'm going to bring down that 4, or that plus, and then also my 4. 4 times x gives me 4x. 4 times what gives me a negative 28 is a negative 7. So what's in common is my x minus 7 and x plus 4. And we have to remember that they all equaled 0, because I just didn't do anything to that side. Once we get that to 0, some of you might be able to tell me what the answers are already, which is great if you can. If not, remember that you have to set this to 0 and that one to 0. So x minus 7 is equal to 0, and x plus 4 is equal to 0. So all I did was set this to 0, and then I set that to 0. So x on the first one is what number? Is 7, because I added 7, and this would be x is equal to negative 4. Now, if you were to plug these back in, both of these would work. If I squared 7 and then I subtracted my 21, I'm going to get 28. If I did negative 4 and I square it, subtracted my 3 times the negative 4, I'll also get 28. So this works. These are two numbers. If I was finding a length, which one could I not use? Negative 4. So when we do a problem like number 5 on our homework, we will not be able to use the negative 4. So at this time, I want you guys to, and 1 through 4 are all the same as just like this one. And number 5 is the only other type. So I want you guys to look at number 5, and I want you to see if you can think about how you would set it up, and then we're going to set it up together too. So you're doing number 5 from your homework. I'll help you. Okay, let's do number 5 and then we'll do number 1 together too. Alright, here we go. Number 5. The thing with number 5 is it says that the length of the top of a table is 5 greater than the width. So if this was my table here, the width is W. What is my length? It says 5 greater than the width, so that would be W plus 5. It says find the length and width if the area is 84. How do you find the area of a rectangle? Length. So you have width and your length together. So we're going to multiply these together, right? So we're going to go W times W plus 5, and that's going to equal 84. All right. Distribute the W. So we have W squared plus my 5W. And can I subtract my 84 at this time too? Yeah. Okay. Minus 84 is equal to 0. I know. I'm gonna try to skip a couple more. AC. What does AC equal? Negative 84. So I'm looking for two numbers that multiply together that gives me negative 84, that when I add them gives me 5. 12 and 7 is right. Very good. So if I have 12 and 7.
What do you add for negative 5?
Because we're looking for that they add to give me 5. So which one's, ladies and gentlemen, which one's negative, 12 or 7? 7. So I'm going to jump to x plus, because my a is 1, so I have x plus 12 and x minus 7 equals 0. I know it does. So what makes this 0? Subtract 12, so it would be negative 12, right? And what would make this one 0? What would I have to put in here for 0? 7, right? 7 minus 7 would be 0. Which one can't I use on a length? The negative 12. So that means my width is 7. What did it say about my length? 5 greater, right? It says the length is 5 greater than. So 7 plus 5 is 12. Huh? Because this was setting this equal to 0.
Why did you cross out the 12?
Oh, because it was negative 12. Can you have a length of a negative?
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I mean, no, no, this is the first time they have it. But can you have, guys, that's okay. Let him think. Can a length be negative? No, that's why I crossed it out, because it's negative. And we're finding a length of, like they're trying to find the length of a table. So because it can't, a length cannot be negative, you would cross out any negative. If you're doing a story problem, more than likely your negatives are going to be gone. Even like speed, you can't do a negative. Even if you're driving backwards, it's not going to be a negative speed. So no matter if, and most story problems, the negatives are going to be gone. Yep. All right. All right. So other question on 5.
Why does 7 equal W?
Because remember when we solved, oh, I put x's, they should have been w plus 12. Because remember it says right here that the width,
Yeah.
so I put x's because I'm so used to putting x's. All right, so I heard you guys want help on the first one.
No, we got it.
Oh, yeah. For number 5, blank 12.
The length, yeah. Say it again. The length is 12 because it says, did you understand why the width is 7? Okay, it says the length of the table is 5 greater than the width. So if the width is 7, you'd go 7 plus 5, which give you 12 for the, does that make sense? Oh, sorry, yes. If this, just a second, do you understand up to this point? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So if you have, I'll go back. All right. Going back. To factor this, going back to the, you get up to this point, right? Okay. To factor this, how do you factor? And I'm looking for 2 things that multiply together to give me this. How have you been doing it? Do you do AC?
Yeah.
Okay. So A is 1, C is negative 28. So AC is negative 84, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm looking for 2 numbers that multiply together. That gives me a negative 84. That when I add them, that gives me what?
Negative
5. So to get these numbers, literally in your calculator, go negative 84 and divide it by 1, divided by 2, 3. So it's 12 and negative 7 is right. So 12 and 7 is my 2 numbers. Okay. Then what do you do next?
W plus 12 in parentheses.
Do you get that part?
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you can still go and say w squared plus 12w minus my 7w minus 84 and go through that. Okay? Okay. So we have w plus 12 and then w minus 7. All right? Equals 0. All right? It says yesterday what they learned is if this equals 0, that means that this equals 0, w plus 12 equals 0, or w minus 7 equals 0. Then what would you do to solve for w? You would subtract 12 on this one. So w is equal to a negative 12. On this one, you'd add 7 to both sides. So w is equal to 7. But because we're talking about width, this width doesn't make sense. So we're going to cross that one out. But it says if my width is 7, it says that my length was 5 more than my width. So that means we have 7 plus 5, which gives me 12. Because this was from the original problem. It says, yep, okay. So that means my width is 7 and my length is 12. Because 7 plus 5 is 12.
So length equals width plus 5. Oh, okay.
Got it?
Yep.
So my dimensions of my table is a 7 by 12. Well, it depends if it might be inches. And then it'd be pretty small, huh? But it does say feet, so yep.
I'm bad, yeah.
It does, it's a 7 foot. 7 foot, yeah, I guess it is. That is a pretty big table. Yeah, it's a pretty big table. Alright. Let's try number 1 together. Number 1 says, I'm going to read it to you, and then I want you to try, if you have not already done so, I want you to try to write down a formula, and then we'll go from there. So I'm going to read it. Don't say what it is yet, but I'm going to read it to you. It says, 4 times the square of a number is 21 more than 8 times the number. What is the number? All right. So the first thing you always want to do is to say the number is x. So then you read it again. 4 times the square of the number. So what would that represent? 4x squared is equals 21 more than, and I would just personally go 21 plus, because more than is just our plus, 8 times the number. 8x. X, because we already called the number x. What's my next step? Anybody know? After I have this, what's my next step? I always have to get it equal to 0. So we want to bring this to the other side. Nope, we always, to use the property of factoring, we have to equal it to 0. So we're going to set it to 0 by bringing this over. So I have 4x squared minus 8x minus 21 equal to be 0.
Why did you do minus?
How do I get 21 to the other side? How do I get 8x to the other side? You'd subtract them. Because I wanted, you need to keep your 4x even, or positive.
Oh.
You need to keep the thing in front of x positive. So, my AC is 4 times negative 12, which is,
Negative 21.
so, oh, thank you. 4 times negative 21, that's what I meant. So that is negative 84. So I'm looking for 2 numbers that multiply together to give me negative 84, that when I add them equals what? Negative 8. If you don't know, literally go in your calculator and see what you can find.
Just a couple more.
Say it again. Move it up.
Are you excited for the Hobbit?
I am.
When is your thing? When is your party tomorrow?
It's starting tomorrow night. Yeah, it's Friday night into Saturday.
Oh, you're not going at midnight?
No, we're not going tonight. I have to work tomorrow. I did it when I was younger, but I could not do it. I did it when Star Wars, the last Star Wars 3 came out.
Was that?
I don't even know. I was teaching still, and I went to the midnight showing, but I could never go to the midnight showing tonight and come tomorrow to work. I already took too many sick days.
Take a personal business day.
No, I mean,
Biggest fan these days.
yeah. So, you're right. All right.
Do you want to be the first person to see the Hobbit, or do you want to be like the 100th?
I own the Hobbit on VHS. I was the first one to see the Hobbit.
Not again, not the one.
But it's still, I still saw it first.
There's a new one.
All right. So, did you guys find it? 6 and 14. All right. So we rewrite this. So you have 4x squared plus 6x minus 14x minus 21 equals 0. Man, the person watching YouTube probably right now is really frustrated because we keep talking. Yes.
How can you just subtract 4x?
Say it again.
Why don't you just subtract the 4x squared?
Well, I'm going to in a second.
What was that at the beginning of the year? What? She makes these videos and records them so people
Yeah.
No, like,
I know,
she does
but
like
she,
4x
I didn't know she was
squared.
making.
Yeah, see how there's little green down there?
Yeah.
That's recording. This tells us it's recording.
Can't you pause
And we're
it?
talking about pause it. No, that's the bad thing about it. I can't pause it. What?
And we're still talking.
Hey, we're still talking. Hey, we're still talking.
Let's just get this down.
All right.
Over, then we can be done.
Okay, I will. I will. All right. So, what goes into 4x squared and 6x?
We can talk all we want, dude.
Oh, sorry, Tony.
Like, do you see how the 4x equals 21 plus 8x? Instead of subtracting the 8x and 21, why can't you just subtract 1? That's 4x squared.
Because you can't.
Okay, say it one more time. Go, just wait.
The
Shh.
very top,
Guys, listen. So I need to hear his question.
instead of subtracting both 8x and 21,
Why didn't I put this to the other side?
yeah,
Austin asked me that question, and I told him just what I'm going to tell you. You want the 4x to be positive, so when you are factoring, it's going, because if you had the negative in the front,
well, no wonder we had so much trouble.
so, all right. So what's in common is 2x. 2x times what gives me 4x squared? 2x. 2x plus what gives me my 6x? Would be my 3. Always bringing down that the same sign, so I'm taking out a negative. And what's in common with 14 and 21? 7. And I have left negative 7, so times 2x. Negative 7 times my 3 will give me a negative 21. So, what's in common here will be my 2x plus 3 and 2x minus 7. So we have 2x plus 3 is equal to 0, or 2x minus 7 is equal to 0. What do I have to do on this one? Subtract 3. So 2x, you're going to get fractions, not decimals, but yep. Negative, but yeah, the same thing. Divided by 2. Oops. So your first one is negative 3 halves. Over here, we're going to add 7. I have 2x is equal to 7. Divide by 2, x is equal to 7 halves. Those are my two numbers. Alright guys, we're going to shut this video off. Hopefully you learned. Got a question? Learned about the Hobbit. Hopefully you learned about this too. But we...
Still recording.
I know. Well, I just wanted them so they could hear the Hobbit. What's this?
What's that thing from on your desk? The ice cream.
It's not. It's a yogurt.
It's a parfait.
It's a parfait from McDonald's.
Never mind.